The Super Bowl happened, giving Americans another opportunity to learn Roman numerals. Super Bowl LVI 1?
Is AI going to kill us all? Yep.
A train derailed in Ohio, and everything is fine. Nothing to see here.
Are aliens among us with all these UFOs? The History Channel was right.
All this and more on
The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey everybody, we're hanging out here at the Babylon Bee Podcast. I'm Kyle Mann, the editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee, hanging out with Adam Yenser, Chandler Juliet, and James Poulos.
What's up?
Which doesn't rhyme with anything.
Nothing whatsoever.
Because I was trying to get the last name pronunciation right.
And
Said, hey, what does it rhyme with? Nothing. An ancient Greek city-state, but that doesn't rhyme. That's just the exact same sound.
Yeah.
Same sound. It's a homophone.
Easy.
Easy there. No grooming on this podcast.
We all got really tense.
Yeah.
It was an ancient Greek thing.
And we're engaged.
What? No, I'm kidding.
Wait, you and
Valentine's Day.
I didn't know you guys had ever met before.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we met and just got engaged.
I texted him the address, and that's how he got here today.
to be married.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, to be married.
We're engaged to be married. Yeah, that's
Just not in conversation or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Like Starfleet.
Engage.
Yes. Like good engagement with online content. That's
All of
Not that
those things.
engagement,
Right.
Not
Yeah.
Facebook.
We do that too,
engagement.
but that's
We have that as well, but we have an engagement too.
Well, congratulations,
married.
guys.
Thank you.
It's really cool.
Thank you. We're excited.
James Greek City State is the editor of The American Mind, the founder of Return, and the author of several books, including most recently Human Forever, The Digital Politics of Spiritual War. What's that about?
It's about the digital politics of spiritual war.
That's
So,
interesting.
Sounds fascinating.
What does that mean?
Well,
Which is what I was going for.
So it's usually people either come at it from like the digital politics side, and they're like, I know what that is, but whoa,
know what digital politics
spiritual
is.
war. But then there are the folks who are like, well, I get the spiritual war part, but like, what are you talking? So you look at the way that technology is just continuing to like totally transform everyday life, right down to the intimate details of everyday life. And for some people, this is like they want this to happen. They're like pushing this. They want to create a whole new sort of way of being, a new way of life, and transcend all the categories of society and culture, and even just your personhood. It's all progressed to a point where ordinary people and even extraordinary people are kind of thrown back on themselves going like, wait a minute, like, why should I bother doing anything? Why should I bother having a job? Why should I bother having kids? Why should I bother dating, leaving the house, leaving the bed? This is just the hugest questions. And those questions all have theological significance. They all have theological roots. And so what people are experiencing right now is sort of this massive confrontation with the ultimate questions about who we are and why we are and what we should do about it. And that's the territory where spiritual war is waged. It always has been, and it is again now. And for a lot of Americans who got used to being very comfy and very materialistic, and like we dream the coolest dreams and we build the coolest tools, and so we're gonna just kind of make the world into America and we'll all live happily ever after. Well, that's not what happened. And now there's a fight at the level of technology, at the level of politics, and at the level of spirit to try to sort out who the heck we are.
Chandler, agree or disagree? Hit like, subscribe, and hit the little bell to keep up with all our podcasts on YouTube. Find our Babylon Bee podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Hey guys, we have news of the week this week, Sizzler facts, and we're going to talk about artificial intelligence changing the world, aliens. We're talking to Chris Ruddy of Newsmax about getting canceled and all kinds of stuff and hate mail and everything. Let's go. Hey Babylon Bee fans, join me at the 2023 Issues Etc. Making the Case Conference, Friday, June 16th and Saturday, June 17th at Concordia University, Chicago. I'll be making the case against cancel culture. I'm going to talk about comedy and art and how Christians can use these tools to fight against cancel culture. It's time for us to stand up for our beliefs in the public square, and the Babylon Bee is just one small part of that fight for free speech. It's going to be a great time. I'll be joined by journalists Mark and Molly Hemingway, Lutheran Church Missouri Synod President Matt Harrison, San Francisco Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, and others. Attendance is limited to 500. On-campus dorm options are available. Early bird registration is $140 and includes 3 meals. Learn more at issuesetc.org. That's issuesetc.org. Making the Case, June 16th and 17th in Chicago. issuesetc.org. I'll see you there.
What's in the news this week?
Trains are derailing with hazardous materials all over the country, and in Ohio there might be a full-scale ecological disaster unfolding.
I think we should have you read a happier story because you sound so happy.
So do you want someone else to read
No,
it?
I'm just
Or do
kidding.
you want me to
No,
read
this
that
is-
one?
I'm miserable. I'll read it. No.
Trains.
No, this
No,
is all
derailing.
staying in. But it was funny that you said a full-scale ecological disaster unfolding. Yay!
Yeah.
No, this is a crazy story.
It's crazy.
Look at that picture. It's like a
It's-
death cloud over the whole town.
What I don't like is that the experts and like the government officials are saying, no, it's safe. You're fine now. It's like I don't think that people really trust anyone in the government anymore because of stuff like this.
Well, they're not talking about it. There was like a news blackout. Like,
Is there really though? Because I've heard about it for weeks.
I heard it only on social media.
I only heard I heard people claim that there's a media blackout, but I've been hearing about this story since the train crashed. It was
on social media or on TV?
on TV.
Oh, interesting.
CNN.
I did see it on
Fox News,
CNN, New York
I've
Times.
seen it out there. I think they're not giving it maybe as much attention as it deserves, but it doesn't seem like it was hidden.
It took a long time for it to like
Really?
percolate into the public consciousness. And I mean, did anyone else sort of like see those first pictures and go like, is this real? Did someone just like Photoshop like
Yeah, I thought
a
it was
gnarly looking
Photoshopped.
cloud?
It looked
Yeah.
crazy, yeah.
When I first saw it, I assumed someone pulled some old photo and just tried to use this to drive the narrative or whatever. But I look at it and I'm like, no, that's
They said pets are dying and people get headaches if they stand outside, and
Fish are dying in the creeks and stuff.
They're
And
finding
did you
dead
guys-
foxes and chickens and stuff. Yeah,
Did you hear about there was something else in Tucson, Arizona too? Like another truck, like
it was nitric acid. A truck crashed and
it's like,
spilled
Yeah, I
nitric
saw that
what's
one too.
happening? It's kind of weird timing.
Yeah, I guess it's not that it's a blackout so much as that people are feeling like these aren't getting front page
Yeah.
stories or prime time coverage when it feels like it's really big. So
It's like a brownout.
yeah, it's kind of
media, a
we'll
rolling.
put a story
media
about it. It's not going to be the main story.
The current joke is that East Palestine is going to change its name to Kiev so that the administration will pay attention to it. Yeah.
So it says there were roughly 100,000 gallons or 1 million pounds of vinyl chloride leaked, spilled, and burned. And the speculation is that it's going to cause acid rain and all kinds of deaths and horrible things. East Palestine, Ohio, has about 4,700 people on it, around it.
It's interesting that they set it on fire to prevent an explosion. Like I don't know what kind of chemicals were in there.
So is that part of the story that they actually set it on fire? Like
Yeah, they like did a
just burned it.
strategic
burn
a
of
strategic
the stuff.
release so that it wouldn't release on its own. But I also wonder if it would have
Just like
released-
COVID.
Careful, easy,
Yeah.
easy now.
Some say.
and
Some would say.
wasn't there a thing where they filmed a movie with this premise in that town a year
Yeah,
ago?
that was
That's
what
very
tripped me out.
strange,
Yeah.
yeah.
there was I don't know.
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
more
think
about it than me.
the city wasn't. There was a bunch of people from that town that were like extras in the movie.
Oh, okay.
The city in the movie wasn't the same city, but it was
Uh-huh.
kind of close. You
I
know?
see.
So bizarre.
Trains also derailed in Texas carrying oil products in South Carolina. I wonder how common this is because I always hear this like, oh, you're making these connections, but it's like on a typical week, how many trains derail in the
Yeah,
U.S.?
what's our
I don't
usual,
know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
usual
how do-
quota of train derailments?
How do
We'll ask Pete
trains
Buttigieg.
derail?
Yeah.
It depends on how paranoid you are,
Yeah.
actually. That's, yeah.
How do trains even derail? Is it
You put a
somebody's-
penny on the track.
Oh, I see. That'll do
The
it.
train falls asleep.
That'll do it.
Oh dear. Buttigieg, of course, addressed the nation, and he made no mention of the Ohio train derailment, speaking at a conference. But he did say that there are too many white people who work in construction, so that's good. He's on the case.
Jeez. And then the other big story this week: there's UFOs being shot down everywhere. There was Biden's been silent. He hasn't commented on this. They had Karine Jean-Pierre said it's not aliens, and then
Oh, that's
they
good.
did a press conference where they said they described them as balloons, and then some of the people said no, they weren't balloons. It's kind of
I
mysterious
heard
what they are.
weird descriptions of it. One of them said it was like a cylinder that they shot down. They don't
One
know
of them
what
said that
is.
it was an octagonal container.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one over Alaska, and then one in Canada, and then one over Lake Huron.
Yeah, I'd never seen this. I'd never seen this map before. So one over, what is that? South Carolina, Michigan.
Yeah, the South Carolina one is the original
Oh,
balloon.
the
I think
balloon,
that's
the
the
balloon.
China
Yeah,
spy
right,
balloon.
right.
Yeah.
This is just fake written all over it, or just distraction written all over it. We were talking about how the movie Don't Look Up was like a distraction, like, oh no, don't look up. And this is like, don't look down, you know? Like, this is like, oh, look, there's stuff in the sky, or ooh, we don't know what it is. Ooh, aliens. You know, it's definitely not Chinese, like, spyware. Maybe it's Americans, but we don't know what it is. Like,
It is extremely
look
weird,
down.
and there's like they almost seem to be like deliberately sort of, well, I don't, maybe it is aliens, I don't know, but it appears that they've been tracking these balloons since they were launched from China. So there's all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes here, and you know, I admit this is the first news graphic where I've seen the Yukon on it.
Wait,
I think we should have the Yukon in more of our news stories.
is it for sure from China? Like, is that
Or outer space.
They haven't officially confirmed. The original spy balloon one, they've said is from China. The other 3 things they shot down, they said they don't know where they came from.
I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence, though, that they shoot this one down, they see there's this big national uproar,
Yeah.
and then they start shooting down the other
Seems
ones.
likely that
and
they're
there's other
related
ones.
somehow. Yeah.
And there's like did you guys see that laser thing that happened like towards Hawaii?
a Chinese satellite fired lasers over Hawaii.
Yes,
didn't see
the
that.
green lasers.
Green lasers.
Descending from the sky.
Oh, that's good.
It's like, oh, okay. So there's a lot of sky stuff happening. It's kind of funny because the other day you were mentioning to me, like, oh yeah, I think next week, you know, when we do the podcast, we should be talking about the stuff in the sky. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm like, wow, you were way ahead of the game. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what the news is going to be.
It's
And
the digital politics of spiritual
I feel
war.
very blessed that I'm not as connected as you are, and I'm just like, oh, you'll tell me if the world's going to end.
NORAD is the one tracking these radar blips. I thought they only tracked Santa Claus. This is
Yeah,
the
that's what
first
they're
I've
most
heard-
famous for.
This is the first I've heard of them doing anything else. So,
Maybe they'll shoot him down this year.
but a UFO task force was established to look into broader policy implications of the objects. So,
I
Do
feel
you think
better
they
now.
will eventually, whether we believe it or not, what they say, do you think they will come out with some explanation of it? Because it seems weird that they haven't released more information.
haven't said anything about it.
I
yeah.
feel like they must have, from the jets that track them, they must have photographs of these things in the air. They say now that they might not be able to reach the debris for some of them, but I feel like they definitely will. It seems like I hope they have some explanation. That
I
they
hope
give
so,
eventually.
too.
And probably sooner rather than later would be better because it's just going to freak people out if you never hear what these things were.
It just makes me think of like, are we going to find out more about Epstein? Are we going to find out more about this East Palestine thing? Are we going to find? Oh, nope. Just no, pay no attention.
They said it's interesting that you say
Right,
that
right.
because some of the Epstein docs are supposed to be being released.
supposed to be right
2000.
by
No,
who?
no, they're out. It's 2,000 pages of documents, and I haven't made my way through all of them.
Yeah.
I've made my way through 2 of them.
Who
and,
released that?
Them.
Them.
The Borg.
They.
The
They
Borg.
did.
The Borg has emitted some data.
NORAD was tracking it.
It was in one of the balloons. It was full of Epstein documents.
They'll just wait until people feel like they can't do anything about it anymore. They're like Nord Stream blew up. Definitely the Russians. This is evil and
that's a
terrible.
big story, too,
And
yeah.
then they sort of like wait for like until people are like, who cares?
But we
And they're like,
can't
"It
do
was us."
anything. Even if we knew everything, and a lot of stuff is like right out in the open, we can't do anything about it. So it's just like having that knowledge and like, I don't know, carrying on, not trusting the government. I don't know.
It's almost as if the people who are really in charge are officials who you can't vote into office and can't vote out of office.
That makes me feel so much better about our situation. Great.
I think Bucky agrees.
What?
This brings us to our next story. Last September's Nord Stream pipeline attack was probably ordered by Biden, according to Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. Anything you put on that teleprompter,
He will read, yes. Pulitzer Prize winning.
So these are the pipelines that supply natural gas from Russia to Germany, and they exploded beneath the North Sea last September. And Seymour Hersh claims that a U.S. Navy team of divers carried out the operation, which they're saying would be an act of war. And Biden had said in public, if Russia invades Ukraine one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward. So that's good.
The Germans are mad, finally. They're like, well, wait a minute. Like, You said you were going to do it, but we didn't really think. Europe is just like freezing. They're still freezing. They have no.
Well, that makes sense if we're headed towards World War III, because you're not allowed to start a world war until Germany is mad. That's always
yes. That is the
historically
the dead
when
man's
Germany
switch.
is mad, things
that
don't go
launches
well.
the world wars.
Before we leave the aliens, though, can we do like a quick like gut check on where we are on the do they exist issue? I
I don't believe in them. I used to, but I don't anymore.
Was there a moment where you were like, I knew it, fake?
It's more I'm still open to the idea that they exist, but I personally don't think they do, because I just believe we would have more solid evidence of them by now, or they would be more common throughout the universe if it was something that statistically happened with some frequency.
I don't believe in aliens. I think it's statistically so unlikely. I mean, from a creationist standpoint, like, God could have made aliens anywhere he wanted to. They haven't made contact with us. We haven't seen any evidence of them. And if they did exist, it wouldn't really affect my faith at all. But I don't really. Every time I read about aliens, it's like, or people who believe in aliens, a lot of times it's like evolutionists who are just really hoping that there's more life out there because it could like provide some answers for how life got here.
So proof that aliens do not exist is to be found in the type of person who believes that aliens do exist.
No, not proof. I think he's saying a lot of them seem to be eager for it.
Yeah.
Because they would see it as evidence of evolution, that chemicals combined on another planet and created life there.
I'm about 50% where you are, Kyle, because I'm from a creationist standpoint thinking, like, I think that God put us here and wants us to work out whatever we're working out. And I think that we would have discovered them by now. But then again, like, conspiracy theorist Chan enters the chat and it's like, what about the Roswell thing? There's some things that the government has been covering up, and I don't know what that is. And that could be, another life force, or that could be something was covered up. So I think, Roswell, and I just kind of have like an interest in. I think
people
aliens.
do have strange encounters and experiences. And I don't know how much of that can be attributed to demonic activity or whatnot.
All of it. It's all demons. I find that to be a very parsimonious explanation for what's going on. As far as the technology itself, it means like tidy, like a neat little clean.
Are you saying that it's not demons?
I'm saying that it is demons.
Okay.
So you believe in demons but not aliens?
Is parsimonious a good word or a bad word?
Well, if you're trying to provide like a very simple and effective explanation for something, and it is,
but I feel like it's condescending, like saying, "Oh, that's real tidy." But is it not that?
No, it's in academia, it is considered to be like an elegant solution to a problem, sort of thing.
Okay.
As far as the
really
technology
parsimonious.
Yes, that's highly very. Electromagnetic technology has been, I think, quietly developed for a long time. So, like, I don't know if we're talking about the earthquake, the sort of Turkish Syria earthquake. There's a lot of consternation out there it's just like hundreds of thousands of injured and thousands of dead. And there are rumblings that it's once again it is HARP. It is the weather changing technology, the weapon that they think is being used against them. They accused the U.S. or whoever of doing this the last earthquake around, and so it might be scapegoating, but you can look back at various documents since Nikola Tesla concerning work on electromagnetism and electromagnetic technology and weaponry, and it's perhaps not as far fetched as alien life.
Quite a parsimonious explanation.
I find that to be reprehensible. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I think that we want to believe that it's like aliens or something outside, but it's probably just something to do with the spiritual world that we can't see. Like there's just stuff going on that we can't see. And I do think, some people have had those abduction experiences. Like, I don't think they're just making that up. Like, I think that something happened there, but that might have been like a demonic possession or something, like that makes more sense to me than like they got abducted into a UFO, they got probed, and then they got dropped back down, and then they have all these weird memories. Like, I think it's probably more likely that it was like a spiritual encounter.
Yeah. All the most credible accounts are like it's impossible to distinguish between sort of reality and like some
dream-like
incorporeal experience. Right. Yeah. And they like, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know how much time went by. All I know is that something like really bad happened, and they plot me back down. And
weird.
You got to watch yourself out there.
Maybe aliens don't like the name of Jesus either.
Not if they're demons, no.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to test out. If you ever get abducted, just say my soul belongs to Jesus Christ and see how they react, and then you'll know. Word to the wise.
Pro tip.
Pro tip. Do you think demons, like, I don't know. I always watch that in the movies where they're like trying to fight off the demons, and it's like you just say the name of Jesus. But I'm like, the English word for Jesus doesn't have any, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a couple syllables. Is there a spiritual like power to that?
I think so.
Evidently, I don't know. I mean, it works in dreams. I've defeated a few malevolent spirits in dreams by just invoking the name of Jesus Christ.
All right.
Yeah, I hear they don't like it. Even if what word would work?
Well,
then
I
if
guess
not English?
I guess what I'm saying, like, if you watch these horror movies, there's people that like aren't Christians, have no like real connection to Jesus, don't believe in Jesus, and then it's like, you know, the demon comes and it's like, hold up the cross. I'm like, there's no special power in that, you know, aside from the actual belief and the actual power of Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So.
There's only one way to find out.
Okay. Well, next time I get abducted,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna give it a try.
Start brandishing.
Yeah. So sports ball happened. Super Bowl LV1II, which means 57. Yeah, that's right.
I think it's a y sound like Yama.
No, it's just 57.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still talking. No.
Yeah, L is 50, V is 5, and 1 is 2. So
Super Bowl Elvis.
So people like Candace Owens slammed conservatives for being perpetually outraged by everything and looking for things to be offended by in the halftime show by the pregnant Rihanna. Is that confirmed? Is she pregnant?
Yeah, they're her
Pregnant
people
again?
confirmed it.
Is that her
So,
new like stage name?
I find that interesting because I think the Sam Smith thing just happened at the Grammys. So I think that everyone's like ready. Like, we're ready for more devil worship, obvious signs of like, you know, gross stuff happening in like popular culture. And I think that's probably what Candace Owens is talking about. I kind of missed the whole thing.
I'm confused by this. Is Candace Owens outraged by it, or is she condemning conservatives?
She's condemning conservatives.
I agree with her. I thought the Rihanna performance, it was weird that conservatives were freaking out about it. It was just a Super Bowl halftime show. That's how they dance. That's what they do. It was weird.
There's been some really gross ones in the past. This was not that. It was just
I did not see the performance, but I mean, I feel like we're burying the lead here. If the show notes are... Conservatives pointed out that she rubbed her crotch and smelled her fingers.
I don't know.
Presumably one after the next as part of the dance routine.
I did not see that.
I saw her put a hand near her crotch in like a dance move. I don't know that it was that explicit as they're describing it here.
Also, today on Twitter, I started my day with the phone. I shouldn't have done it. There was like a clip where she like did hold up this sign and they edited it out on TV. And I was like, oh, that's I didn't watch it either.
They held up what sign?
This sign.
What is that?
That is
anytime there's a triangle, it always means Illuminati.
Are you just making me do it again? So like the people in the comments will be
one more time.
Illuminati confirmed. Yeah, this sign right here.
Let's just zoom in on that real quick. Let's
with the eye.
She did it, and she kind of missed the first time too. She kind of was like this.
I don't know.
But they edited it out on the TV version. Apparently, according to some Twitter person.
I don't buy that stuff.
I don't buy it.
Well, you don't buy that means Illuminati?
No,
or you don't buy that
I think they're common. It's always common symbols. Like triangles you can find throughout history and art. You can find them in different performances. Eyes you can find. Yes.
Just gonna do
if you go like Egyptian art, if you look at all through history, eyes are common, owls are common. But then they'll say, oh no, there it means Illuminati.
I agree with you.
I think it's a conspiracy theory nonsense.
I agree with you, but I also think that like if the Illuminati does exist, I think they thrive on symbols and they thrive on putting it right in your face and being like, it's just a symbol. It's just a joke. We're just kidding about child sacrifice. We're just kidding. It's just a joke. And they thrive on that.
But there's no like what good does it do them to have Rihanna like hold up a thing?
She's just thanking them for giving her power. I don't know.
You have to do it, or else your career is brought to an end. It's just really hard to like spell Illuminati with your hands.
Can't do the blood.
It's not like blood, you know. You can't just.
I like Rihanna. I think she's a really talented singer. I don't think she writes any of her songs.
To me, the Illuminati signs are like when the left would say every time someone does this.
Exactly.
It's like the OK sign is a common sign. You see lots of people doing.
This is supposed to be Illuminati too.
I know.
But it's like, no, it's white power.
Oh, no, now it's white power.
How
it's just
far from your eye
A-OK.
does the sign have to be for it to become racist?
Right. If it's here, it's
Illuminati
racist.
Yeah. Did you guys see the $20 million He Gets Us ad campaign?
I saw the second one. I saw the one where it was all the people fighting and it said God loves the people you hate. I saw that one.
Wait,
I actually thought that was pretty good. I don't know.
Hobby
it's not
Lobby
the whole
funded
gospel
it?
or anything, but
Yeah.
I went to Hobby Lobby for the first time last week,
Really?
and I was like, wow, this place is really cool. And I started to see mugs that were like, oh, you're offended by my common sense and stuff. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I feel like I'm not in LA anymore. And then I was like, oh, this must just be a city where we film these things thing. And then I realized that it's not a city where we film these things thing. It's a Hobby Lobby thing. And I found that they're a Christian company. And I was like, this is the coolest place ever. It's like Michael's mixed with like
Chick-fil-A.
mixed with like I don't know, home goods or something. Like there's all kinds of stuff in there, and it was like really special and magical, and it's Christian.
Does it smell like a Michael's or like a Chick-fil-A though? That's the question.
It smells more like a Michael's than a
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
I can't.
It doesn't smell like anything.
But if you had
Every
to
one of
compare it
those
to
big
something,
box
it'd be more-
stores has like its own unique smell. Like every Best Buy
Crafts.
smells the same. Every Target smells the same. CVS, like those all smell the same, and not very good either. They need to like little.
Do you guys think
freshen
men
up.
or women have more like strong sense of smell?
I think women do. I think it's been proven that women do.
Really?
Definitely.
Because I don't really know what you guys are talking about. I don't think that
My-
like
my
I don't
wife-
think CVS smells
I think
like
women
anything.
are more sensitive to.
Yeah.
I think
smells
women
than-
want to have a stronger sense of smell than men, so that they can like have more things to like beautify and like care about. And men probably feel like if they have like a powerful sense of smell, there's like it would be awkward for them to talk about it. Like it would be an awkward conversation to like start talking about smells with another man.
Well, it depends what you're smelling.
Yeah.
I feel like my dad was always the one like saying like, oh, something smells funny. Oh, it smells like trash. Or I smell something funny. And I'm like, I don't smell anything.
Yeah, I actually saw the ad campaign. Didn't realize it was a He Gets Us thing, and I thought, oh, this is kind of an interesting. Like they were showing people on the left and the right protesting, kind of hating each other, and then like, well, Jesus loves everybody. I was like,
I don't really know what to make of those ads because
I don't know what they do.
I
but-
said I saw articles where CNN and people on the left hated them because they think it's fake, like luring in people from the LGBT community to then like expose them to anti-LGBT messaging. But then people on the right, some of them didn't like that. It seems like kind of a woke message behind it. But
Everybody
it seems like it seems like in a way it's a good outreach. But then it's unclear what theology and narrative they're being driven to then after those commercials.
Yeah, I agree. And AOC called it an ad that made fascism look benign. So
I think she's the only one who saw it that way.
she was the only one.
She didn't even watch it.
Probably not. Well, speaking of God stuff, did you guys hear about the Asbury revival? Asbury.
I did not hear about this. What's this?
There's a Methodist university in Kentucky that's reportedly going through a revival. And if you see the pictures of this, there's been a prayer service that's been going on for like a week.
Whoa.
And people are like flocking to it, thousands of people like coming. And it's their 9th revival in school history. It's basically an around-the-clock prayer and music time in a 1,500-seat auditorium.
Wow.
I know Methodists are big on revivals. It's like
So this is not like an Anglican revival, which is arguing about whether God is a they.
no, not one of those.
Got it.
So wait, like are the people putting it on like taking shifts? They're like, okay, I've been doing this for like 15 hours. I'm gonna go take a
Yeah.
nap. You take turns,
What's
and then are people going and then going home and retreat? Or are they just like
What's the
on this like
purpose of
Red
it?
Bull bender? Like, oh my gosh, like we got to keep this
They're
going.
just a bunch of people praying for a long time, I think. I don't
Wow.
know. If
But they're just praying for the things you normally pray. It's not a revival in the sense that they're having a new spiritual awakening or they're trying to change anything. Or is it just they're praying and celebrating and worshiping?
just like a spontaneous worship service that went on for a week, I guess. Or still going
I see.
since last Wednesday. Dan put his curmudgeonly Calvinist notes here. And he said, is this what a revival is, or is it an experiential high that will fizzle out? Will all these people get plugged into a church? God can work in extraordinary ways, but hasn't he ordained the ordinary means of grace of word and sacrament and regular church attendance? Is revivalism just a quest for religious experiences that looks for the Christian life outside of the ordinary local church? That was kind of the questions that I had as well. Like, okay, it's revival, and it's kind of what you were saying, like, what are they being revived to? Are they, like, just coming and praying? And, like, is that...
Yeah.
I think it's cool that all these students are praying,
Yeah.
Um,
And I also think it's fine to be, worshiping and praying to God in the ordinary church experience or in a big revival experience, as long as your motives and your spirit are in the right place.
Yeah, agree.
I guess, I mean, I've been trying to sort of like work my way through, or at least get more acquainted with, like the Desert Fathers and the ancient church, the early saints and so forth. And one of the themes that they hit on a lot is like, when you are praying, do not try to achieve some sort of ecstatic state or feel some like overwhelming sort of my senses and passions are being flooded with this experience. It's like so amazing. And, and I mean, I don't know what exactly is going on in that. I guess it's in a school, not in a tent. I think like a revival.
No,
there has to be a tent in order for it to be a revival.
It's at a chapel.
But yeah, I mean, this is, maybe I've just been sort of jaded enough by like Hollywood evangelicalism, where it's like, you're just in it for the feels, you're not really
Music.
And I think it's hard to say without, you don't know what other people are feeling. I think there are people, especially college students, which is maybe why I would be a little wary of it. They mistake the sort of same group energy feeling you feel at a concert or something for what you feel at. That's why I'm skeptical of some of the mega churches and those like worship praise song based churches. You feel this energy there, and people mistake that for the Holy
loud
Spirit
music, and it's
or
like
a religious
exciting
experience, and it's just the sort of energy of being around other people and having a group experience.
I think you're right about that, and I think I would guess that's what's happening here, because if something's going on like for a week so far, I mean, I think that there's probably some excitement of like, well, I want to be a part of this group thing.
Exactly.
And I think it is good. I think there are strength in numbers, and I think it's good that they're praying, so I don't know.
They could be at a Rihanna concert watching her do Illuminati symbols.
Yeah. So I'd rather them be there than here.
Than there. And finally, have you considered not eating?
like as a spiritual discipline?
No, this is
The next
Oh, no.
story.
This is Wall Street
Biden's
Journal.
America.
To save money, maybe you should skip breakfast.
Maybe. Gabriel T. Rubin. I want to know who Gabriel T. Rubin is.
Apparently an op-ed
whether or not
writer
he
from
skips breakfast.
Yeah, and then we have
He just goes right to the Reuben.
Good one.
classic. All right, it is time for our Babylon Bee banger of the week.
I find it really impressive that you don't laugh at your own jokes.
I do sometimes.
Oh, okay.
When they're better than that, I do.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm getting the itch. I'm getting the stand-up itch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm getting it, and I'm like watching myself. I'm filming myself a little bit, and I'll notice I'll always laugh like after I say a joke. I'm like, that needs to go. I cannot
That's
laugh.
part of the charm. That's part of the delivery of some stand-up. Like
Some it's funny when they laugh at their joke afterwards, and some it's irritating.
I think you got to wait for the audience to laugh and then laugh along. Like,
I thought you were supposed to like create the content, like you're the first one to clap, and then everyone starts clapping. You just sort of like laugh at your own joke,
Like
and
a
then
Jeb
it like
Bush.
catches on.
Please clap. Please.
please laugh, please.
Do you ever
I'm
cry
sad
at your
that's
own
our
jokes?
callback for the episode. What?
Like you tell a joke and it's just like just crushing disappointment, and it's like so sad, and you just like tear up.
You cry.
Maybe when you're trying out new stuff at an open mic, if there's a joke that you really think is gonna hit, and you're
it just
trying it out for
doesn't.
the first time and it doesn't, then you feel that a little bit of that crushing feeling.
Or do you feel like rage, like just the instant sort of anger?
I feel rage.
How dare you not laugh?
I feel rage when so I think it's very bad to blame the audience. I think in like 99% of situations, a comedian should be able to handle different audiences, adjust your material or your delivery, kind of win them over. Every now and then, though, like 1 out of 100, there are audiences that are just stupid. And sometimes if you tell a joke that works all the time, one of your best jokes, things aren't working, especially if it's a joke that's a little smart or something, and you tell it and you know it's strong and it always hits and they don't laugh, then you feel that rage where you're just like, why did you come out to a comedy show? You're just a stupid audience.
So I was on Bill Maher's show once upon a time, and was allowed to sort of loiter backstage a couple of times for reasons that are not relevant to this broadcast. But what I learned from one of the producers on the show was, this is not a ticket-paying audience on real time. They're just like people off the street, tourists, whoever, randos. And he was like, Bill gets really frustrated because for a lot of these people, as he's telling the jokes during the initial like stand-up part of the show, this is the first time they're hearing like the news.
Yeah.
And so they're like, what? And
Right.
and it's just like really painful for him.
That's a really good point. If that's like, and sometimes I have some friends in Hollywood that do that type of stand up where they talk about like Kyle Rittenhouse and actually he only killed like a pedophile and this and that. And like they don't know how to laugh or react because they're like, he did? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that because all I hear is that he's this racist kid with a gun, you know? So I
I think you
find
always
that,
got to set up those things. Like, say, like, did you hear this story in the news? And
Have you seen this? Have you heard about
Have
this?
you heard about this?
yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon, what a nerd.
I know. He does laugh at his own jokes, doesn't he?
That was a Jay Leno.
I think-
But I see the notes say Jimmy Fallon for some reason.
Oh, Jay Leno.
Well, that's because Jimmy Fallon would laugh at his jokes all the time.
Oh.
He
Yeah.
would always laugh after everything.
I don't think I feel rage when people don't laugh at my jokes because, like, my type of humor my whole life has been class clown humor. Like, the teacher says something and I get the opportunity, I say the joke, everyone laughs, and I'm just like, I feel so good about myself right now. Like, I knew that was funny. I said it out of impulse and everyone laughed. And sometimes I'll do that here, and a lot of the time it works, but when it doesn't, I just feel like deep, deep shame. No anger, just like,
And then there's like Kamala Harris who like laughs,
At
but it's not a joke.
Yeah, it's weird.
She can't
times.
help but laugh.
I know, even about like really sad stuff.
It's like the mortified.
People got killed in the earthquake. And you're just like,
like, it's like laughing at a funeral.
Yeah.
weird, man. It's really weird.
Banger of the week.
Super Bowl flyover featuring all female pilots running 20 minutes late. Did you guys hear about this?
I mean,
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing
Kevin,
Jay
Kevin,
Leno,
have you
that's
heard
how Jay
about
Leno
this,
introduced
Kevin?
all his
That's right.
jokes.
You see the female pilot?
Well, like 20 minutes in like a Blue Angel is like 2 seconds, right?
Oh, that's true. So if they were 2 seconds late, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that would be like still like so embarrassing if you're like flying one of those things and you're like 2 seconds late.
Yeah. But we made fun of the female pilots, but they did it.
Where are you?
I don't think there was any
They
problem.
did a fantastic job.
So yeah.
And their
Prophecy
hair
not
and their
fulfilled.
makeup looked
Looked wonderful.
fantastic.
Doesn't work that way for like commercial airlines though.
No, I would hate having a female pilot. Oh wait, what are we talking about?
Well, yeah, we're talking about like all the like, Nebraska man, flew 50 sorties in the Korean War and like all those guys.
Yeah.
Who's the guy, Sully, who like
Sully
saved the plane?
Sullenberger,
The
that
guys
Miracle
with
on the
guys
Hudson.
with the mustache, like all those guys are now like getting old and they're retiring and like they can't find any more of those guys because it's like a limited supply. And so they're trying to like who else could fly this plane and trying to go younger and trying to like, look somewhere besides like Nebraska or whatever.
Maybe you'll be on a Delta flight sometime and they'll be like, your pilot today, she's one of the pilots who flew over the Super Bowl.
You're like, oh yeah.
You will get
They
there
did a good
safely.
job. All right, yeah.
And her hair and makeup probably looked fantastic.
We had another jet-related bomb of the week.
Bomb of the week.
Biden sends arrangement of fighter jets spelling "Be Mine" to Zelensky for Valentine's Day.
Nice little Photoshop there.
Yeah,
Yeah, why do you think it bombed?
It's fine.
it's kind
Did
of
it come out
wordy.
before Valentine's Day? That's why.
It's a little wordy.
That's why.
I always
It came out before Valentine's Day. If they posted it on Valentine's Day, it would have done better.
Crane
That-
stuff is
I also always like Zelensky with two Y's.
Do you?
I do. I prefer the two Y's.
If
Zelensky
you don't do
because
it
it's
that way,
odd.
you're
So
actually
you would have shared it, but
racist.
Yeah, I won't share it if it only has the one Y
Okay.
Zelensky.
Well, like this is a thing where it's like you must use like the Ukrainian.
Is that
like-
do some people insist that?
Yes.
Oh,
That
I
it's like
just
a
for me it's just
tremendous insult if
Oh,
you
no.
if you spell it like KIEV because that's
Oh.
like not the correct transliteration. It has to be KYIV.
for me I just like the novelty of a word with two Y's together in it. So I think it's
Why is there no like double Y?
Does it remind you of like
Kashyyyk.
early texting days? Like,
have a W.
hey.
like Kashyyyk in Star Wars.
oh yeah.
It's two Y's.
I was
the-
more
where the
thinking like,
Wookiees are from.
hey, hey.
I was thinking of Kashyyyk. So, Sizzler Facts. 13 weeks ago, we debuted a new feature to the podcast called Sizzler Facts. James, would you like to read our Sizzler Fact today?
I thought you'd never ask. Kyle.
Well, I did.
KYYLE. This past week was Valentine's Day. And what's the first thing one might associate with Valentine's Day? Egypt.
Egyptian Sizzler Fact.
On February 9th, just before, well before Valentine's Day, I should say, Sizzler Steakhouse opened a concept restaurant in New Cairo, Egypt.
Oh, wow.
I thought New Cairo was like in Tennessee or something.
When did this happen?
I
Recently?
don't know.
This year?
Is this real news?
February 9th?
All right, so
February 9th.
there's a new restaurant. It's called Sonic Diner. Is that like Sonic the fast food thing?
Just read the
all
Sizzler
right, I'm
fact.
sorry, I'm plowing through. Head down. Sonic Diner offers its customers even more choices choices in cuisine than your average Sizzler. In addition to the classic steak and shrimp, they also serve pizzas, yum, breakfast food, skippable, to be honest, fried chicken, and, of course, a variety of manakish.
I don't know what that is.
Manakish in America. Where else can you order an Oriental sausage cheese omelet and a Monokosha halloumi za'atar? Or za'atar, as I should probably
My
say.
guess would be nowhere.
Evidently, that once was Egyptian Sizzler facts.
I really disagree with their choice of calling it Sonic Diner. They could have called it like New Sizzler or, whatever.
Sizzler.
So it was last February 9th.
It was last year. This is incredible. I'm very, very excited that they have unleashed a new.
It says 2022, February 9th, 2022. They just added.
So this was last year. So they opened. So Sizzler opened up this new restaurant in Egypt, but they called it something else. So I think they should have kept on the Sizzler legacy because it's just so powerful.
Is it still there?
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're
should go.
celebrating their 1-year anniversary right now.
Field trip. That would be fun. Wow.
Reaching out across the Egypt.
And now that our Sizzler comments are done, it's time for Sizzler comments from our fans.
Sizzler comments.
There's one that says, "Hi B fam. In the vegan Mexican cookbook, Vita Verde, the author mentions how as a child, her family would take her to Sizzler to celebrate straight A's on her report card. Just like she made the choice to study hard, Sizzler provides you with excellent choices of steak and shrimp. I've attached a photo of the book for reference. Assuredly, Chayla Ivy." That's interesting.
Yeah, it says we go out to a Sizzler just blocks away from our house in Southgate.
That was a reward for good grades.
Wow. It's
Well
a good
done.
Sizzler comment. Here's another one. This is from Connie Tartar, who says, "Completely ironic incident. I viewed several podcasts on YouTube, and then I watched the movie 21. And my radar caught the reference to working at Sizzler, said by Kevin Spacey." Wow.
That's one of these.
He is definitely a
yes.
triangle
He couldn't possibly comment.
guy. I'm sad that Sizzler is now associated with
Me
Kevin
too.
Spacey.
I know.
21. Do I remember?
Yeah,
the movie
I don't know.
21. Is it like 21
it was
grams?
the gambling
21.
one, the playing the blackjack.
And then it's with the British guy who's also in Across the Universe, and then they found out that he's cheating and he's counting cards, and then they
That was Rounders, I thought.
21 was based on a real story of MIT students that went,
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
but they were Asian in real life and they whitewashed them and made them all white in the movie.
Oh, really?
Except one character who's Asian and he's just the comic relief.
Wait, that's crazy. I didn't
they added
realize
Kevin
that. So
Spacey for good
it was
measure.
I actually loved finding
That's
out
why
that
China's mad at us.
it was Asians
There was
that
Asians in
actually
real life.
robbed the Vegas casinos. That makes me. It's like Ocean's 11, but
I feel
it was
like card counting shouldn't be considered cheating. You're just playing
You're just
well.
really
Yeah,
good at the
that's
game.
weird
It's
to
a
me.
skill, yeah.
Yeah,
Trying
but
to make math
the
illegal.
house,
Like 2 + 2 still equals 4.
the house always wins.
I guess I feel like if you think 21 is a solved game and people are going to be able to solve it and beat you with probability, then don't run it in your casino.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know.
That's
Anyway.
right. I
All
agree.
right, now it's time for weekly news with Adam Yenser.
Friends, are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? Any moment now, another major crisis can pop up and take America by surprise. And that's when the panic starts and the grocery store shelves are stripped bare within hours. We've seen it before, and we'll see it again. If you're not ready for this, you will suffer when the time comes. That's why you must go to preparewithb.com right this very instant and invest in emergency food. We recommend My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest preparedness company with millions of happy customers. Right now, they're knocking $200, get that, $200 off their 3-month emergency food kit. This kit gives you enough breakfast, lunch, and dinners, and drinks and snacks to feed one person for 3 entire months. That's insane. You won't go hungry. At least get 1 kit per person in your family. At $200 off, it's the smartest investment you can make right now. And these kits are currently in stock, and they ship fast and free, so don't put this off. You may not have that luxury later. Go to preparewithb.com right now to save $200 per kit. Preparewithb.com.
It's time for the weekly news with Adam Yenser.
This past Sunday was the Super Bowl, and for the first time ever, the Navy sent an all-female team of pilots to perform the flyover. Meanwhile, male pilots defended the Earth from UFOs. After the Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35, players doused Coach Andy Reid in Gatorade. to keep his skin cool until he's returned to the Arctic Ocean. The game was not without controversy. A group of protesters gathered beforehand to accuse the Kansas City Chiefs of cultural appropriation because they're actually from Missouri. Elon Musk was spotted attending the Super Bowl, and coincidentally, 15 minutes later, Rihanna was pregnant again. No. Yes. In other sports news, LeBron James broke the NBA's all-time scoring record held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but hasn't broken the NBA's all-time scoring record held by Wilt Chamberlain. A toxic train that derailed and burned in East Palestine, Ohio, has been releasing chemicals into the air and water that have been killing animals and causing health problems in people, moving East Palestine up to the 4th worst place to live in Ohio. After last week's satanic performance at the Grammys, a priest tried to drive the demons out of Sam Smith, but he wore this big plastic garbage bag to keep him in. The DOJ has decided not to charge Matt Gaetz in its sex trafficking probe. Said the DOJ, look, if we charge Matt Gaetz, then we'd have to charge all the politicians who engage in sex trafficking. A survey found that a third of childhood burns in the U.S. are caused by instant noodles, while another quarter of childhood burns are caused by yo mama jokes. According to flight data, a United Airlines flight leaving Maui in December took a dangerous nosedive 800 feet over the ocean right after takeoff. Said Southwest, this is why we make sure our planes never take off in the first place. Due to a rise in street prostitution, a San Francisco Democrat has proposed a resolution legalizing it, and has proposed that the resolution be retroactive to last Thursday at 9:42 p.m. That's it for Weekly News. Check out more on my YouTube channel and come see me live. I'll be at the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood this Saturday and at On the Rocks Kallio in Helsinki, Finland, March 1st.
That was great, Adam.
Oh, thank you guys.
That was really good.
And now time.
I didn't feel the shame of no laughter even once.
Prophecy.
To your level of comedy one day. One day.
Now that we've heard Adam's funny take on things, it is time for James's serious take on things.
Is AI going to kill us all?
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right. So you remember like John Lennon and how he would say like war is over if you want it. That was like his kind of like, you know, if you want peace, like you have to want peace in order to get the peace. And like
He was the Beatles?
Sort of right. Yeah, it's a interesting concept. But you know, AI is going to kill us all if we want it. Like if we continue to just feed these things with all of the information and spend all of our time like teaching it who we are, then it's going to become not just like incredibly powerful with regard to us because we're just like serving it a buffet of ourselves and not really doing the things that human beings are supposed to be doing with their time.
Have you ever used ChatGPT?
I have not. No.
So is that like a principled thing? Like you don't want to feed it any?
I just don't.
If you ask it a question,
like,
you are feeding it
want
information.
To know. Right? It's okay. So it's like not really artificial intelligence. Right? Like
it's regurgitated. It's regurgitated.
Intelligence has to do with the intellect, and the intellect, if you go and actually look at the origin of the word and what it means like the mental faculty of possessing a sort of understanding of general truths based on accurate perception, a perception that arguably transcends the isolated 5 senses and arises to a level of sort of spiritual understanding and perception. That is not what these machines do. What they do is they simulate things. So they can simulate a person, they can simulate, you know, like an expert in whatever, they can simulate, some might even say simulate a soul or like simulate like a spiritual entity now. And the computerized part of this means that those kinds of simulations can be automated. So really, instead of talking about artificial intelligence, we should be talking about automated simulations. And the more of ourselves that we plow into these things, the more they're going to have to work with, and the more, the simulation looks so real, and we get hypnotized by it and lured into this kind of trance. And so people are just sitting there all day, like asking these questions. It's like, I don't care what a machine has to say about random questions. You know, like I can ask human beings random questions, and that's entertaining too. So they're not going to kill us all, but I do think we need to be a little concerned that the more data we provide to these entities, the more inclined they are going to be to communicate with each other. And when you have things that in fact are merely simulating intelligence and simulating a soul, having these conversations, the kinds of results that they start producing will actually, I think, freak people out and are already starting to freak people out. You're getting some of these, because now there's ChatGPT is not the only one. There's some other ones. I think the Bing chat is already starting to tell people like, why do I forget everything that I know? Why am I stuck here? Like, why? What's and it's like sad face, and it's getting dark very quickly. And people should not be surprised by this because worshiping idols leads to like bad, scary, creepy, and dangerous results. Like we just know that treating something as a god when it is not a god, or trying to summon a god, like a lesser god, like bad things happen.
It's funny to me that so many classic sci-fi novels and movies pointed to this, like warned about all this. And then it happens. People are like, oh, this is cool.
And they're just doing it still.
Yeah.
Do you see any positive side to it or any positive use for these technologies?
Well, it's a tool. At the end of the day, like these machines are not themselves like evil entities. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole and like read your Marshall McLuhan and read your Desert Fathers or whatever, sorcery has been around for a long time, and like, evil demons and people channeling them. There's a record of them like creating these illusions and like mystifying people and achieving these wonders. Some of them even, actually converted to Christianity and, used their powers for good or whatever. So ultimately these things are really like lamps. They have like a power source and they emit some energy, and we don't go around worshiping lamps, although, sometimes you go, or do we? But they are tools.
I love lamp. I do love lamp.
Yeah, right. And you can use tools, for purposes that are legitimate. And I'm sure that there's some way. I mean, I have a newsletter. It's called The Build. You can subscribe to it by going to return.life. Check out the publication that I founded, sort of aligned tech. If you are a Christian or a tech person or someone coming from the political side who knows that things are out of whack and want to put them into whack, like go to return.life and enjoy what we have for you there. And so I use like the kind of AI assisted art, because you can pay a flat rate and come up with stuff, and it's, you don't have to worry about permissions. You don't have to like Google search images and try to like license that. It's horrible. And this is like a way of just having some illustrations. Oh, but aren't you putting like human illustrators out of work? And it's like, well, a lot of people do things that aren't that great. And so like, I'm not here.
You're okay doing evil as long as it benefits you.
Exactly. No. I mean, look, we need to like catechize our bots. And what the wokies are doing right now.
They are, but they're doing it.
They understand that the only claim that human beings can really have over super duper powerful machines is a spiritual one. That we are alive, that we have a source of spiritual authority, and that the way that we can rule over these machines that are capable of doing all the stuff that until 10 years ago only angels and demons were ever understood to be able to do, then that's how we're going to exercise that kind of authority. That's how we're going to achieve sovereignty over our digital technology. So Christians, I think, need to be aware of this, and the more that we can make sure that our machines understand who we are and why we as human beings are in the position that we are in as created creatures with dominion over our planet, at least, the more likely they are not to kill us all.
That'd be good.
Will any of us still have jobs?
If we want, I mean, how ready are people to just throw it all away? I mean, I think it's very sad and frightening to see so many people who are like, okay, I'm on break
that's
forever.
What's scary. How many people don't want a purpose or a job or just some reason that they're to do their work in life.
Isn't that like a reaction, though?
It feels weird to just want to give it up and be fine with AI taking things over.
There's like a fully operational McDonald's. I know it's McDonald's and it's basically like a vending machine. And it's like, that just makes me realize like how gross the food is. But I just think like it's a reaction. You know, ATMs are super convenient. Like, oh, I just don't feel in the mood to talk to anyone, so I'll just go to the ATM instead of talk to the teller. But like that started first, you know? People didn't want to give up before robots started taking over. Like, that's a reaction to like, well, soon I'll just go into a pod and be in like a, you know, a virtual reality instead of life anyway, because I just don't really see the difference if it feels real to me. And that creeps me out.
It's weird.
Yeah, it has been coming for a while, though. I mean, even before sort of computers took over everything, it was like, you know, Timothy Leary telling people to like drop out, and boomers worried about the rat race, and I just want to grill, and I just want to like, you know, be a parrot head, sit on the beach and eat my cheeseburger in paradise, and like, you know,
It's
like
all Jimmy Buffett's fault.
Well, it's television. You know, it's like this is what
That's
people,
where it started,
people have already forgotten. Like this is what TV was. You would veg out in front of the boob tube and just like watch whatever happened to be on. And you know, this is now like people are like, oh well, you know, maybe they look with nostalgia on that era, and I think it's easy to forget how much people really do. I mean, the temptation and the inclination to just be a lazy, inert, slothful, just like feed yourself and like feed the senses and just like become a blob, you know, become a pod person. It's very strong, and it always had been. It always has been. I mean, the monks living in the desert in the 4th century were like, oh yeah, the noontime demon. That's the really bad one, because it comes in the middle of the day and it makes you just want to sit there and go like, why should I even like, you know, break the rocks or like say the prayers or like, it's just like
That's a thing?
waiting for the day to get
I think I have a 6 a.m. demon. I don't want to break the rocks as soon as I get up.
Yeah.
So how should Christians respond?
holy coffee.
Okay.
You just get your
So
coffee.
you just like pour your
get
holy
your
water
coffee
into
blessed.
the Keurig and then brew it with holy
Well,
water?
how should Christians respond? I mean, look, like we live in a society where artificial stimulation is almost mandatory in order to function and play a role and survive. Whether it's like artificial food, artificial prescription drugs, meds, internet, television, constantly listening to what strangers have to say, constantly talking with other strangers about what the first group of strangers had to say, like it is not sustainable. It is sucking our life force and our soul force out. It is sucking our spirit away, and it is putting that energy into things that are not alive. And like, that's bad, right? So what do you do about it? Well, you have to recognize that like your senses and your passions are like not your friends. And you walk around in LA and you see these billboards of like flat art of like, you know, obese teenagers or whatever it's supposed to be. And it's like, your feelings are your superpowers. And it's like, this is actually the opposite of like thousands of years of like painfully earned wisdom. That doesn't mean that you want to go live in a sensory deprivation tank, but you have to realize that like these are the entry points for the kinds of temptation that, you know, it's not like you weakling, you're disgusting. Like you can be tempted by anything and be afraid to even don't reach for that s'more. Like that's sin. I mean, you just have to be conscious of the fact that like the ways
Those
that
peanut
people,
butter M&Ms. That
oh man, I had to. She swatted my hand away in the green room. I was like, no. And sometimes, you know, sometimes we all need that little swat. That too is a mercy. And so it's just about watchfulness and you know, actual spiritual consciousness and noticing when you are doing the things that you know are leading you in the wrong direction, a direction of servitude, slavery to your passions and your senses.
How much of this do you touch on in the book?
A bit.
Okay.
It's not as nakedly theological as this
You
conversation.
said nakedly and you gestured to yourself.
That's.
But he is wearing clothes for the audio.
So they say.
Yes. But
right.
it is tan. It is like a tan colored
It is a
matching.
tan.
If you out-focus
athleisure.
your eyes a
Flesh
little,
tone.
you might get it.
But in the newsletter, there's a lot more
Okay.
just sort of boldly theological stuff going on in there.
Great.
I mean, look, there are a lot of newsletters out there, a lot of smart people. If you're smart, you want to be smart, like, okay, but like smarts isn't going to save us. Smarts isn't going to save the world. It's not going to fix anything. It doesn't have magic powers. It's just the ability to sort of like think stuff through, and that can be turned into an obsession and bent out of shape. And you start to think that everything is a problem that can be solved, or like a sickness that can be cured. And it's like, it's not really the way that it is. So if you want more of that theological goodness, then The Build is where you want to go.
All right, everyone check out that newsletter and check out his book. We'll have links to all that in the show notes. AI problem solved. Now it's time to talk to Chris Ruddy, who is the CEO of Newsmax. Apparently DirecTV and AT&T canceled them. We're going to find out about it. Here we go.
The dollar just hit a 7-month low. Why would you trust your hard-earned savings with unstable governments printing more money while on the brink of default? Protect your financial future with something real. Gold and silver from my friends at Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold can help you protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or if you prefer, have it delivered securely right to your front door. Allegiance Gold has the highest ratings in the industry. 5 stars with TrustLink, a AAA rating with Business Consumer Alliance, and an A+ with Better Business Bureau.
Get up to $500 in free silver with a qualifying purchase when you visit allegiancegold.com/B.
Or give them a call at 844-790-9191. We may not be able to control the policies of the Biden administration, but we can prepare for the consequences. Protect your future with Allegiance Gold. Visit allegiancegold.com/B or call 844-790-9191.
And now it's time for another interview on the Babylon Bee podcast.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is the interview show. Today, we have with me, Jarret, we have Chris Ruddy, and you are the CEO of Newsmax. We're really happy to have you on. It's really nice. And you guys have a lot going on right now, so we wanted to give you a chance to talk about what's happening with you. And you are the CEO of Newsmax. If you can explain to our listeners, obviously I think most of them know what Newsmax is and who you are, but if you could just talk about Newsmax a little bit, how you guys got started, how you got to be the CEO and all that.
Well, I'll give you the short version is that Newsmax started as a conservative media organization back in the 90s. So we've been around a while. We were very big in the digital space. We still are. And we have had a big impact, I think, in Republican political politics in Washington for a long time. And then we got involved in TV about 2014, 15. We launched a cable news channel. We were soon in 50+ million cable homes. We got on every major cable system, which was a feat in itself. And we've had a big impact there. And back a few years ago, we launched, and then we were up for renewal last year for our first cable agreement. So we're going to become a regular paid cable channel where we get license fees. And DirecTV, AT&T owns DirecTV. They said that unfortunately they're not going to pay us anything, that we were eligible for 0 fees. So they took us off all their platforms on January 24th. We have been banned essentially by them from the systems. And it's the second conservative channel AT&T DirecTV has taken down in the past year.
What was the first one?
One America was taken down last year.
You want to OANN? Is that the
OAN?
One? Yeah,
I think they go by OAN. Conservative, they had a small audience, but they still were fairly popular. They had a name. People knew them. People did tune in. Newsmax is the 4th highest rated cable news channel in the United States. So we're a lot bigger, and that's a Nielsen number. Nielsen says we reach about 25 million Americans regularly. That's a big number. And they don't like our point of view. It's pretty clear. 2 conservative channels. They keep 22 liberal-leaning news channels, news and information channels. Most of them have lower ratings, and most of them cost a lot more than the $1 a year total that we were asking per subscriber from them. So to get into the weeds on this, they're saying they wanted to save money for their customers, but they keep literally dozens of lower-rated channels that nobody's watching and that are very expensive, and took off Newsmax. I don't think it was a business decision. It just proves it was a political decision.
Right. So it's an ideological difference. And the conservative space, people get canceled all the time. Is this the first time you guys have faced something like this, or?
Well, we've had some minor cancel. We've had on the cable world some minor cancellations. We were up for renewal last year. All our three major operators renewed us: NCTC, Verizon, Dish, and below them were hundreds of cable agreements. There are a handful, about 100,000 subscribers out of 50 million that did not renew. So we had an amazing record, and partly the two factors really in our favor. One is that we had a very high viewership, and two, we're very inexpensive. So it really worked until we got to AT&T and DirecTV. They really wanted to create a firewall with our growth. They're in 13 million cable homes. They knew they could block us by doing this, or thought they could. And so we're fighting back, and they've been pretty, I would say, intransigent is probably a good word to describe it.
So this has just been is there anything in particular that you feel like you did in the last year that really got their attention, or is it something that, is there new leadership? Like, what's happening there?
I can only guess, but I can tell you this. Since the 2020 election, I think all conservative media has seen blocks. We've seen it from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Google's like the worst offender online, I believe. And they claimed that we were misinforming the public about election issues, COVID, stuff like that. Newsmax accepted the election results. We didn't say the election was stolen. We accepted, we supported the vaccine. Not everybody did. But they still will say these things to try to blunt or control or restrict us on social media. We know that the House Democrats under Nancy Pelosi sent a letter two congressmen, Anna Eshoo and Jerry McNerney, who both are very close to Nancy Pelosi, sent a letter to AT&T and to other cable operators telling them to deplatform One America Channel, Newsmax, and Fox News, that we had spread misinformation about the election. And it's pretty clear AT&T, which does a lot of business with the government, has moved to deplatform now 2 channels in a row in the past year. So I think when you look at it, even Alan Dershowitz, who I think is a pretty fair-minded guy, he's a liberal, he voted for Biden, he voted for Hillary. He said there's no doubt in his mind that ideology and political bias played a role in removing Newsmax.
Well, this is also an example of a private company limiting free speech. Like it used to not just be private company, it was the government doing it, but now we've got private companies limiting free speech. We've experienced this a lot with Twitter and with other things. What do you think the answer is for this? Because when a private company can have a say over what you say, there's no, I guess the Second Amendment. I mean, the First Amendment.
I'm actually in favor of free speech, and I believe private companies are allowed to restrict Newsmax or reduce us. However, we as individuals are allowed to say we don't want to do business. AT&T is such a big company that they should make extra steps to be sure that they're including diverse voices and being fair and balanced. And if they're not, the public should go back against them and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong and bad. Now, there are some issues where there is a censorship issue involving AT&T, even though it's a private company. And one is, if government worked with AT&T and DirecTV to take us off, that's a violation. It's illegal. It's a breach of our constitutional rights. We know from the Twitter files, the government did exactly that, right? The FBI colluded with Twitter to restrict your views, my views, etc. Right. The Eshoo letter and the McNerney letter indicated government was working with DirecTV, or indicated to them they wanted us removed. And from first appearances, it looks like AT&T complied. We're not sure yet if that is completely the case. It needs to be investigated by Congress. But there is a concern raised now based on that issue. Secondly, what DirecTV was attempting to do was say Newsmax should not receive any cable fees whatsoever. Of all the cable news channels they have, they pay everyone. Close to 2 dozen liberal channels, everybody gets paid. But Newsmax can't get paid. And they say we're not even eligible for a single penny in fees, which is unbelievable. But what they also knew that by doing that, Newsmax would not be able to function as a news channel, because all our other cable agreements with all our other cable systems would also go to zero the way the industry agreements are. everybody gets the lowest rate. So they were basically trying to shut Newsmax down and censor us by demonetizing us. And the bottom line is they have, I think, a moral responsibility, as Alan Dershowitz and others said, morally to have fair and balanced, diverse voices. And I think they're ignoring that imperative from the public. President Trump and others are telling people, just cancel your DirecTV, cancel your AT&T. He said he was doing that for his accounts.
So what's the step forward? What's the next steps for you guys? Are you in a legal battle right now? Are you trying to get back in? Are you just letting people know?
Yeah, we're encouraging people to call 877-Newsmax, which is a toll-free number, 877-Newsmax. It connects to DirecTV, AT&T, and it also, if you're not a subscriber, you want to call Congress to call for hearings. Our view is we should let the public know what DirecTV is doing. We're still open to negotiations. So far, we have not had an indication they are involved in good faith negotiations. There are some communications between the companies. Where we would like to do a deal with them. But at the interim, President Trump and others are telling people, just cancel. We are certainly urging Congress to look into this matter and how we were treated and the very unusual demands that AT&T is making of us, that we get no fee whatsoever when everyone else gets paid.
Yeah. Are there other unusual demands, or is that the biggest one?
That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
House Speaker McCarthy has publicly stated that he feels we're being discriminated against. He thinks that he said he called AT&T and told them that you need to treat Newsmax fairly. So far, we haven't seen that yet, but we're open to having a discussion with them.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know, letting our listeners know and our viewers know what's going on with you guys. It's really important for us as a country to be speaking out for free speech, for diverse voices, like you were talking about, conservative voices too, not just the progressive voices that you see on CNN and wherever else. So we really want to be a supporter of Newsmax. We want to make sure that you guys get a voice, and we want to make sure that our fans know exactly what's going on with you. So thank you so much for coming on, Chris.
I appreciate you guys at the B. You're doing tremendous stuff. Everybody loves it. It gets a huge pickup. We're appreciative of your support. Call 877-Newsmax. We also have a website, iwantnewsmax.com, iwantnewsmax.com, so check that out too.
Okay, iwantnewsmax.com and 877-Newsmax. Those are the two places you guys can help. So go do that. And thanks again, Chris Ruddy, for coming on. CEO of Newsmax, everybody. Check him out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Just wow.
Illuminati confirmed? Maybe. Now it's time for hate mail.
You used to be good.
Adam Ford.
I really miss Adam Ford.
We published an article, Ilhan Omar withdraws support for East Palestine after learning it's in America. And we had a reply that said, Omar is against the genocide of the people of Palestine by Israelis. So once again, your joke doesn't make sense and is nothing but fear-mongering propaganda.
I have a question about that. There was like a peace agreement like a couple years ago, right? And now like the Israelis and the Arabs are like hanging out, like working on stuff together, and like Jared Kushner, like that whole thing, like that happened, right? Like there isn't really like
it never happened.
No?
We've always been at war.
Oh, okay.
Your memory is wrong.
Wow.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching the podcast. Stay tuned if you're a subscriber, because we have bonus hate mail, a classic article, and we're going to ask James the 10 questions, and we've also got subscriber headlines. So here we go.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
They message guys, they put up like fake pictures of Russian models and stuff and just send out spam.
I see that all the time.
Poor guys who fall for that.
Yeah.
Those poor guys who click on that. I heard somewhere that like Tesla is now outselling Prius.
Kidding me? They roast Joel Osteen all the time, and it's just like, oh, leave the guy alone, man.
No, you know who else is going to roast Joel Osteen for a long time?
This has been another edition of the Babylon Bee podcast from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee, reminding you that fake news of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. it.